Hey guys, welcome back to another foundation road test. Today I'm looking at Maybelline Dream Cushion Foundation. I know I had said that I was not interested in looking at this because it is a luminous finish. For those of you who are not familiar with my foundation road test, I have combination skin that gets oily in the T-zone. So when I see luminous finish, I get a little leery. But I decided to pick it up anyway because I've been hearing some good things about it. This foundation retails for $15.99 for 0.51 ounces of product. That's kind of a lot. You can get it on sale at Ulta. They do buy two, get one free, and just various places they'll have it on sale. So I personally would wait until it's on sale to get it because it's not a lot of product. I mean, you buy two of these to get the right color match and you are paying department store prices. So it's not that inexpensive. The only thing that it says on either the Ulta website or the Maybelline website is that the increased color pigments deliver complete luminous coverage for fresh face perfection. It is liquid foundation reinvented and it's good for all skin types. There are 8 shades of this foundation, which is a little bit disappointing. The packaging is almost identical to the L'Oreal Lumi Cushion Foundation. You open it up, there's a nice big mirror here. You have the cushion here. I'm having a little bit of cloud cover, so just bear with me. They keep going in and out. This is from applying today. I do have it on right now. So as usual, I will be wearing this for several days. I don't like to do just a first impression. I like to do a thorough review. Today's application is going to be applied over my Guerlain Meteorites primer, and it is going to be using the sponge. Over the next few days, I will use it with and without different primers. I'll apply it in different ways, and I will check in with you periodically and get back to you with my thoughts. I have the shade 30. I'm really hoping that it is not too dark for me. I'm feeling a little bit pale. This is called Warm Nude. The shade above this, 20, was something ivory, and when I looked at it, it seemed like it was going to be a little bit too light. So let's just cross our fingers and hope this works. Normally when I do demos like this, I try to do a brush on one side and a damp sponge on the other, but I'm going to try and use the cushion today and just hope that it doesn't give me too full of a coverage because I like more of a medium coverage. We'll try it. The only thing that I have on my face today is my Guerlain Meteorites primer, and I do have my eyeshadow base on because I put that on while I was waiting for my primer to set. So let's get started, and I'm just going to crack this open. It's very, very similar to the L'Oreal packaging with the cushion on top. This one feels a little bit more rubbery than the L'Oreal does. And then opening this up, it is sealed. This looks a little dark. Okay, so there's the color. And it can be a little misleading, so I'm going to put 3 fingers in here and kind of round it out and dip it in. So there you go. I don't like to get a whole lot on there because I just feel like, again, it's going to give me too full of coverage. So let's go. Oh, I need to clip back my hair. Just a minute. So this gives me a very satiny finish right from the start, so I'll definitely need to set it quite well with powder, which I set everything anyway with powder. I don't bring it right up under my eyes, so obviously I still have dark circles, and it covered redness really well, but it did not cover my little red spot I have here or my sunspot, so I will still need to conceal that, but that's fine with me. I am going to finish the rest of my makeup and I will come back. Now that I've powdered over it, I really don't think it looks too dark. I haven't put any bronzer on my neck, so I'm just kind of turning at angles so you guys can see it. I didn't do the whole rest of my makeup because I'm going to do kind of a modified get ready with me, because some of you wanted to see an eye look that I was doing lately with a certain palette. So I'm going to go do that, but I just wanted to come back and kind of show you what it looked like after I concealed and powdered over it. And I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to see how this holds up today, and I will report back in. Hey guys, I am checking in 6.5 hours since I applied the Maybelline Cushion Foundation, and I'm actually more impressed than I thought I would be. So I have blotted with a blotting paper once, and I have used translucent powder twice. So I used it right after I blotted, and then I touched up again, I don't know, maybe 3 hours after that. So I'm gonna lean in a little bit, get a little bit closer so you can see how tired I am and how little sleep I got last night, but that's not the foundation. But you know, there is some luminosity and some dewiness, but it's not greasy, and there's some coverage there. My makeup still looks good. It is a little bit more of a luminous finish than I usually wear on a daily basis, but I still like it. It still looks good as far as my makeup goes 6 hours in, and you know, I like the way it looks in outdoors. So I'll do an end of day check-in and an end of foundation road test summary and let you guys know my final verdict on this after I have applied it in various ways. So before I get started with my full thoughts, I wanted to go back to that first day's check-in. And aside from the touch-ups that I talked about in that check-in, I checked in later at the end of the day. It had been about 14 hours at this point. I had a really long day this day. And I was checking in at the end of the day in really unflattering bathroom lighting. And my makeup still looked intact. It still looked really good, I think. And it didn't look overly shiny. The only touch-ups that I did after that check-in was blotting around dinner time with a tissue, not even blotting papers. That's pretty impressive. It never looked cakey or overly shiny. And you know, I don't expect miracles from my foundation. I'm not going to never touch up during the day. I'm going to do things very real world because that's just the way I figure you guys are going to do things. You're not going to be out and about talking to people and going about your business and never touch up your face. But the less that I have to touch up, the better. So on that first day, it never settled into my fine lines. It never looked cakey. It really never settled into any of the pores I had around here until maybe the 11 or 12 hour mark. That's when I started feeling like it was settling into pores a little bit. That's a really long day. And I think if I had maybe touched up a little bit more after that first check-in, it would have done a little better, but I was home and I didn't really care. So I was pretty impressed from that performance, and that was the day that I applied it with the included sponge. So you all know that I've tested it for several days because that's what I do. This is not something I would use without a primer. Personally, I usually don't use regular foundations without primers. I just find that they typically break up and slide off around my oilier areas around the nose. And this is no exception. I'm going to use a primer with this. I don't use super silicone based primers, the clear ones that feel really, really slippery. I used my Guerlain Meteorites, I used my Hourglass Veil, I used NYX Angel Veil, and a CoverGirl drugstore primer, and all of them performed really well with it. And it lasted a long time. Every single day, I didn't have to touch up until around the 4-hour mark. And by touching up, I mean blotting with a blotting sheet and touch up with translucent powder very, very lightly. And minimal times a day. I mean, maybe 2, maybe 3 times in a 12-something hour day. I had some really long days this particular week. I feel like upon application, it does look very luminous. So that's why I was a little bit worried at first. You know, I didn't think that it was going to set down and look somewhat matte, but it does. It actually gives solid medium coverage. After I set it with a translucent powder, it looks somewhere in between a demi-matte and a matte finish. It looks kind of matte, but not flat at all. I wouldn't say it's pore filling. It just looks good on the skin. The finish and the longevity were surprising for me from a cushion foundation, especially for combination and oily skin. I guess because this does say that it is a luminous finish. It actually doesn't say that on the package, but it said it in the claims that I talked about at the beginning. I just thought this was not going to work for me at all. So I am very pleasantly surprised. I find that as far as application methods, which ones I like better and the type of coverage that I get with each, I liked the coverage with the included sponge and with a dry beauty blender the best. Ever since I did my Chanel Velvet foundation review and kind of went back to that dry sponge, I've been trying that out a little bit. I figure that since they include a sponge with this, probably for convenience, it's probably made to be applied with a dry sponge. So I tried that, and those are the two methods I like using the best as far as how it looks on my skin. With a brush, I didn't like the way it looked at the end of the day, and with a damp beauty blender, it thinned it out a little too much and it didn't build as well for me. So I've had this on about 8 hours, and this is the day that I put the Hourglass primer on underneath, and I used the brush on this side and the damp beauty blender on this side, and I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit cakey and separated looking up here and in the cheek area, and it's okay over here. I just feel like my pores are getting a little bit emphasized, but again, it's been about 8 hours and it's just not holding up as well on the brush side above the brow as it is on the beauty blender side. And I'm a little bit surprised because when I started the day it looked a little bit better on the brush side. It's just not holding up that well. But with both the included sponge and the dry beauty blender or sponge, whichever one you want to use, I feel like it applied well. It gave medium coverage. You only needed a tiny bit and it really built up nicely. You could build it. And it did set fairly quickly, but not as quickly as, say, Double Wear. Now, as far as transfer, I'm not doing a transfer test with a phone because it's going to transfer onto the phone. I tried on some clothes when I was in Target one day when I was wearing this, and when I took off the shirt that I was wearing, I felt it skim the side of my face very lightly, and when I looked, there was some on there. Now, I'm not one that's gonna go wiping my face all over everything all day, so I'm not one that really typically cares about transfer because, I don't know, I just avoid wiping my face on things if I'm wearing makeup. But you know, I do this just now and I did get a little bit on this tissue. So if that's something that concerns you, this is going to budge a little bit. I just find that it wears really well if you're not wiping your face all over everything. So my final verdict on the Maybelline Dream Cushion is a surprising, I like it. I am surprised. I know I've said that a few times during this foundation road test, but I was not expecting to like it, and I do like it, and I feel like I will definitely reach for this often, especially for convenience reasons. I probably do like using the dry beauty blender more so than the included sponge just because it's kind of awkward for me to hold those sponges and apply it and get into the little crooks of my nose, but that's okay. I don't really mind. That's just a minor inconvenience. And actually, is it really an inconvenience? It's kind of convenient if you forget your beauty blender to have an included sponge at all. So that's okay. I am going to be comparing the L'Oreal Lumi Cushion to this for oily combination skin as well coming up. So stay tuned for that. And if you do want to see how I did this eye look for hooded, downturned, deep set, small eyes, that's a mouthful, that video is going to be coming up shortly as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you here on a regular basis. And if you are not following me on my social media, I'll put that on the screen and it will be in the description box below as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.